You already know who it is, man. It's your boy Manu. Today I'll be doing a very controversial video discussing why the Spurs would have beat the Warriors. Now I know you guys might be thinking, okay, he's just another salty Spurs fan that got mad because the team got swept. They're mad because Kawhi Leonard got injured, and you might be right about that. You actually might be right about that. But no, in all seriousness, today I'll be doing a video on why I do believe that we could have won this series had Kawhi Leonard not been injured. Now, for starters, I'm not going to get into the game part. I'm just going to talk about everything else leading up to that. We saw that the Warriors, they were basically cakewalking through the West. They got lucky on a couple injuries, and this is also leading to another one of my videos on why the Warriors they just might be the luckiest team ever. But nonetheless, they basically swept two other teams in the Portland Trail Blazers and in the Utah Jazz, and there was really no competition whatsoever. So they were playing like they didn't have to play too hard because they were basically just demolishing their teams simply due to the star power that they had. And on the other hand, we had the Spurs, who went through two pretty much hard-fought series. We saw with the Grizzlies, a lot of people, they were expecting the Spurs to sweep the Grizzlies, even though I know, like, if you're a Spurs fan, you know that you can't really count on the Spurs to be, like, super dominant, or at least these Spurs, because we've seen these Spurs, they've choked before, 2013 finals. We saw that they've choked. We saw even against the Warriors when they had that big lead in the regular season, they ended up choking. So me personally, one of my biggest fears about a Spurs fan is us being like overhyped. And this is also another video of the San Antonio Spurs being overhyped that I'm going to be dropping later on. So yeah, a lot of people really expect us to defeat the Grizzlies easily, but we know what happened. They ended up getting 2 games. We still won in the end, but yeah, a lot of people, they're expecting the Grizzlies to straight up come out here and get swept, which we saw that it turned into a hard-fought series. And then we moved on to the Rockets, whereas we were actually, you can say that the Spurs were somewhat of an underdog. At the same time, they weren't. If you ask a lot of people, some would say the Rockets, some would say the Spurs. I want to say it was kind of like 60-40 Spurs favor. I know some people might be like, well, how are the Spurs the other underdogs then? Because for the people who picked the Rockets, they were just so cocky when it came to the Rockets. Of course, they were led by James Harden, MVP type caliber player. And yeah, we basically had another hard-fought series, obviously up until the last game where James Harden basically turned into Houdini and disappeared. But yeah, there was another hard-fought series. So the Spurs, in my opinion, they were already they're already in playoff mode. Me, to be honest, I don't think that the Warriors, they really had that playoff challenge. So they weren't really like in like their super playoff mode. Like I don't think they were as engaged in the other series as they were going to be if they had to face a healthy Spurs. Because let's be honest, had the Warriors lost, they would have actually two things would have happened. They would have like completely cracked and lost it, which I'm not too sure that they would have done that. I don't think that they would have just like completely fallen apart. There is a possibility. Or B, they would have entered zero dark 30 mode. They would have came out and they would have actually been serious. And I'm more certain that B would have happened, because we saw what happened with like basically teams. If they start closer to the playoffs, they're going to need that one loss to wake them back up. It's kind of similar to what happened with the Cavs. Like the Cavs are lucky that they already got that. Like LeBron said, they're lucky that they already got that quote unquote humiliating loss, because now they're back to normal. Now they're not on this high pedestal. Now they'll be able to see their flaws. And the Warriors, they haven't had that yet, but they were having it in game one. We saw Kawhi Leonard coming out here feasting on them. I believe he had either 26 or 28 points before he ended up leaving the game. And then we all know Zaza Pachulia, the biggest hoe in the NBA. Listen, some people are like, no, what's a dirty play? But we saw him put his foot right underneath Kawhi Leonard's foot and basically stepped on. I don't want to talk about it. It gets me angry just thinking about it. But nonetheless, 25-point lead in the third quarter. And I know some people, they're like saying, oh, well, you had a 25-point lead. Why are you even choking it? Listen, when LaMarcus Aldridge is the star player, and me personally, I've always been iffy on LaMarcus Aldridge. He's had his nights, I'm not gonna lie, he's had his nights, but overall, he's just way too inconsistent to be that leading man. I mean, last year, it looked like that he could be that leading man when he was dropping like 40 against OKC, but then we saw his true colors. He ended up disappearing, and he ended up coming up short a lot of times. So LaMarcus Aldridge, he doesn't really do too much for me. I mean, I like when he proves me wrong. It shows me that, hey, he's not just like some disappearing act. But overall, I think that LaMarcus Aldridge is very inconsistent. But back to the whole Kawhi thing. Me personally, Kawhi, he's the only person on that team because who can stand up to Kevin Durant. I'm not gonna say he can stop him, but he can kind of match him and slow him down. We saw that they're basically even back and forth when it came to points, and then that's when the injury happened, and then they ended up routing them. So that was one thing. And then even in game three, now the next game, game two, was a complete, they got, they got beat again, but game three they actually had a lead over the Warriors until they got shrunken. So yeah, the Spurs, they're obviously in great position to actually come back, or not even come back, but they're obviously in great position to challenge the Warriors. I'm not saying they would have swept the Warriors. Me personally, I think it would have took 7 games, and even the 7 games would have been 50-50. But even if the Spurs weren't able to defeat the Warriors, they would have still at least gave them that challenge, gave them that hard fought series that they need in the playoffs before they actually got to the Cavs. Like now, I think that the Warriors, they're good. They're a good team. Don't get me wrong. They might be the greatest team of all time, but now they're looking like there's something that they really aren't. I mean, people are like, "Oh my gosh, they're going to sweep the way through the whole series." Like, no, let's not forget that they've been playing like they've been playing the best competition. Even though people, they just see the Western Conference and they're like, "Oh my God, he's no, the Western Conference way better." But no, 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 it's not. So yeah, overall, those are the reasons why I believe that the Spurs could have defeated the Warriors in the 7 game series had Kawhi Leonard got injured. Call me what you want, but this is just my opinion. Comment what you guys see down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Peace out.